So if you saw the debates last night, I did, or the debate, I did. Let me remember what I even have in here. Oh, so my first question is, I was watching the debate and they introduced this guy.
I come from a state where a lot of people voted for Donald Trump.
Who the hell is that guy? I never saw that guy before. Never heard of that guy. What the F? All of a sudden, he's running for president. And by the way, he got a ton of time. Him and John Delaney seemed to be the most important people in America last night. This guy who no one knows, and that other guy no one knows, John Delaney, who really comes across as an asswipe, John Delaney. I mean, this guy came across good enough, whatever. It just seemed like they just grabbed, central casting, send me a politician. That's what it seemed like. I had no idea. I didn't know this guy was going to be in the debate. I just didn't know who he was. No one else in the world did. Okay. So I just thought it was funny. All of a sudden they throw this guy. All of a sudden. So you're telling me that Gravel, this guy's more popular than Gravel? You're telling me this guy polled higher than Gravel, got more donations than Gravel? Some guy I never, ever heard of?
More name recognition? Certainly not.
Ever? Come on. So this is who the Democrats decided to put on the debate stage instead of Mike Gravel. This guy. Okay, so here is when Elizabeth Warren won the debate. So if you want to see, so the whole night, it was CNN had set it up where it's the same thing they did in 2016. You guys are fairy dust. It's a fairy tale. What you guys can't have the things that the rest of the world has. You can't possibly have the same things that France has in America. We're only the richest country in the world. You can't have the same stuff that people have in France or Canada or Norway. We don't have that kind of money. That was the whole night. The whole night was that way. So that was CNN telling you a banana was an apple or an apple was a banana, whatever it is. So here's how she wins the night. I think Elizabeth Warren won it hands down, and here's when she did it.
I remember when people said Barack Obama couldn't get elected. Shoot, I remember when people said Donald Trump couldn't get elected. But here's where we are. I get it. There is a lot at stake and people are scared. But we can't choose a candidate we don't believe in just because we're too scared to do anything else. And we can't ask other people to vote for a candidate we don't believe in. Democrats win when we figure out what is right and we get out there and fight for it. I am not afraid. And for Democrats to win, you can't be afraid either.
Congressman Delaney, your response?
So I think Democrats...
First of all, she said, hey, we elected a black guy with a Muslim name after we elected George Bush. Don't give me this stuff we can't elect a progressive. We elected Donald Trump. That's the perfect thing to say. And so now what? It was as if this guy is the most important person in America, according to CNN, because the whole debate centered around this guy. It was annoying. And this guy's annoying. He's not even in politics. He's not even... Anyway, here we go.
When we run on real solutions, not impossible promises.
Impossible promises, like what the rest of the world figured out decades ago. Medicare for all. That thing that Canada's had since the 70s and the rest of the world has, the rest of the industrial, that thing, that's impossible. It's impossible. It's that Nellie McKay song. You are naive to believe in a world that exists. It actually exists. Why do you think you could have that stuff that exists? So watch this.
When we run on things that are workable, not fairy tale economics. Look at the story of Detroit.
You know what's workable? A healthcare plan that leaves out 30 million Americans. I guess that's workable. A healthcare plan that leaves out 30 million Americans and lets 600,000 of the rest of us go bankrupt every year just because we got sick and everyone else treading water and not even being able to access healthcare because they can't afford their co-payments or their deductibles. That's doable. A really shitty system that leaves millions, tens of millions of people out and everyone else treading water, that's super doable. Oh, that also enriches the health insurance industry and big pharma? That's doable. You know what's not doable? A sensible Medicare for all plan that the rest of the world does. That's not doable. What is doable is this crazy bubblegum and matchbook and popsicle sticks. This is the system we have now. Super doable. The one that actually works everywhere else. And this is the guy of course, this is the guy CNN wanted to have the debate be framed around. This guy. Of course. Why? Because they're funded by big pharma and health insurance companies. That's why. Here we go.
You know, Jimmy, I'm just curious why there's a Republican in the debate stage tonight.
Here we go. Because most of them are.
This amazing city that we're in. This city is turning around because the government and the private sector are working well together. That has to be our model going forward.
You know, that thing that got us here, that thing that every politician has said for the last 50 years, the thing that right-wingers say, everything. That's what you're saying. The system. We need more of the system. So when the 100 million people who don't vote, you're saying we need more of what's making your life horrible, more of the system.
We need to encourage collaboration between the government, the private sector, and the nonprofit sector, and focus on those kitchen table, pocketbook issues that matter to hardworking Americans.
Healthcare, education, and a living wage. That's what you're talking about. Why are you pretending?
Infrastructure, creating jobs, improving their pay,
Thank you, Congressman.
creating universal health care,
Thank you,
lowering drug
Congressman.
prices.
Senator
We can
Warren.
do it.
You know, I don't understand why anybody goes to all the trouble of running for president of the United States just to talk about what we really can't do and shouldn't fight for.
Debate 1. John Delaney will forever be a footnote in history. He is anyway. That's it. And the guy's such a weirdo, John Delaney. He doesn't even know how to hold his face. Like, watch all the goofy looks he gives after he just got smoked just now. Watch all the goofy looks he gives.
Our biggest problem in Washington is corruption. It is giant corporations that have taken our government and that are holding it by the...
Are you watching Delaney? Watch Delaney on this. Watch his face. He doesn't know what to do. He looks like Barney Five when he's nervous. He's like, I don't know if you know who Barney Five is, but anyway, that's what he looks like. He's like, should I smile? Should I not? Should I do this? Why? Well, I'll back it up just a little.
...do and shouldn't fight for.
So just watch his face. Watch John Delaney. I'll take the sound off. Watch John Delaney's face. Just watch his face.
New expression.
Whoa.
Smile.
He doesn't know when to smile. And then when he smiles, it seems creepy. Anyway, that's the moment she won the debate. That was the moment she won the debate. That was it. That there's no doubt in my mind. Bernie had some great moments too. Bernie did really well. It was like everybody, CNN, all the moderators, and all the other candidates were against Bernie and Elizabeth Warren. And Elizabeth Warren really had. I think that was the best. I can't believe that no one has said that before. And you know that she had that in her back pocket. She had to have that in her back pocket. So good for her for having that, and good for her for smacking that guy down like that. That was fantastic. Here's the other moment.
And you know what I think is interesting? That he wants to be able to counter his point. That she just slammed him. What else are you going to say?
I like to be humiliated more. I like to say something else stupid. Here's where Bernie he had his best moment right here. Watch this.
Second of all,
You don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all,
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know,
Congressman.
and I wrote the damn bill. And second of all,
So Tim Ryan's making the argument that, if you take this health care away from union members, they're going to be worse off with Medicare for all than their private insurance right now. Again, apparently he's never been sick.
Huh.
Now, I don't care what kind. I had the best private insurance you could get. They don't pay for things. Hey, I need an MRI. Go pound sand. Hey, I need to get a CT scan. Go F yourself. I don't care what kind of insurance. And who do you think you're bullshitting? Union people? They've been sick. They know how much they pay for health care. They know what their deductible is, and they know what their copays are. And they know what their pharmaceutical bills are. He's just bullshitting. And Bernie knocks him down. Watch this.
Second of all,
You don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all,
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I
Congressman.
wrote the damn bill. And second of all,
So that's, I guess, Tim Ryan, he just can't help but set up the progressives to slam him as hard as possible. Because remember, Tulsi Gabbard totally slammed him when he said we got to stay in Afghanistan. And here he is saying we can't. The union workers, they have great health care, so we can't have Medicare for all because union workers have great health care that no one else has apparently. So we should get rid of Medicare for all because union workers have this great health care that doesn't exist. Again, get sick, try to use that health care. And so Bernie says that's not true, and then he goes on to make the great point. Here we go.
second of all, many of our union brothers and sisters, nobody more pro-union than me up here, are now paying high deductibles and co-payments. And when we do Medicare for all, instead of having the company putting money into healthcare, they can get decent wage increases, which they're not getting today.
So did you catch that? What he told that knucklehead Tim Ryan was, yeah, so Tim Ryan's argument is that union workers have given up pay and so they could get better health care. Now you're going to take their health care away. That's like taking away. He's saying, no, dummy. When the car company doesn't have to pay for their health care anymore, they can then give that money to them in raises, in salary, in wages.
That's already included in their wages.
They will now, instead of getting health care
Right.
as payment, they're going to get actual money as payment. Dummy.
And then can I just point out that that money goes right back into the economy?
That's right. So here's the point that Bernie really So this is the thing. Like all the other candidates who are against Medicare for all, they're all pretending like when you get sick, if you have health insurance, everything's okay. We all know that that's not the case. Anybody who's been sick or had a sick kid knows that's not what happens. You want to know what happens when you get sick? Bernie Sanders is going to tell you what happens in 5 seconds. Watch this.
As people talk about having insurance, there are millions of people who have insurance. They can't go to the doctor, and when they come out of the hospital, they go bankrupt. All right?
There it is. Millions of people with insurance, they can't afford to go to the doctor. When they go to the hospital, they come out, they're bankrupt. There it is. So John Delaney can't say that? John Delaney can't say that, and he doesn't have a plan for it.
What I am talking about, and others up here are talking about, is no deductibles and no co-payments. And Jake, your question is a Republican talking point. At the end of the day, and by the way,
So the whole Jake Tapper, this whole thing was, hey, we can tell middle class people they're gonna have to pay higher taxes. Are you gonna tax middle class? You're gonna tax them? You're gonna make taxes? You're gonna tax people more? What about taxes? Instead of framing the issue of, how are you going to inform everyone that their actual out-of-pocket expenses will go down, that they'll actually be paying less for health care? How are you going to make that? How are you going to inform people? How are you going to get that message across that actually their medical bills will actually go down? How are you going to get? That's the question you should be asking. The news guy should be the one informing people. Well, actually, with Bernie's plan, it actually costs less, saves us money, and everyone's out-of-pocket costs would go way down. But of course, the person asking him that question is being paid by the pharmaceutical companies. Jake Tapper is paid to lie to you that Bernie's plan costs more than the plan we have now, and somehow we can't afford it, even though it's the exact opposite. It saves trillions of dollars. Bernie's plan saves trillions of dollars. Jake Tapper's never going to tell you that. Why? Because he's being paid to not tell you that. By who? The pharmaceutical industry. They pay. Again, what do we say at this show? The reason why corporate news sucks and the reason why we have a show is because they are owned and funded by the people they're supposed to be investigating and exposing. So here, and he watch, and this it couldn't be more clearer than right at the end of this.
By the way, the healthcare industry will be advertising tonight on this program.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Warren, it's your turn.
Can I complete that, please?
Your time is up.
They will
30
be
seconds.
advertising tonight with that talking point.
And there you go. Could Jake Tapper, the tool that he is, could not do that? You could not have helped Bernie Sanders or the progressive cause more in that moment. Oh, your time is up. I'm sorry. Right when he's calling you out for being fake news. That's what Bernie Sanders is saying to them. By the way, you guys are fucking fake news. Why? Because you're funded by the people who are screwing America. So that's Bernie Sanders' version of CNN's fake news. So that's why when Jim Acosta tries to pretend that Trump is nuts when he says they suck, well, here is Bernie Sanders saying the same thing. So guess what? CNN fucking sucks. And they ain't standing up for freedom of speech or journalism or you or the American people. They're standing up for Pfizer. They're standing up for Blue Cross. They're standing up for Aetna. That's who CNN and Jake Tapper stand up for. And you know who Bernie stands up for? You. So I just wanted to show you. So that was, if that's the moment Jake Tapper lost the debate, and that earlier moment was the moment that Elizabeth Warren won the debate. And by the way, Bernie Sanders looked as spry as anybody's ever. He certainly didn't look like Joe Biden. My time is up.
Yes, it is, Joe.
There is a big difference between a Bernie Sanders 77 and a Joe Biden 70s, whatever he is. Next live Jimmy Dore show, August 2nd in Burbank, California. Then we go to Denver, San Francisco, Baltimore, Seattle, and Honolulu for Christmas. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all tickets and become a patron or a premium member. We give you tons of bonus material and lots more. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com. Sign up, become a member. Couldn't do it without your support.